Police in New Jersey are hoping to revive a cold case that's more than 20 years old. In 1996, Celina Mays disappeared without a trace.
Celina was 12 years old at the time and 9 months pregnant.
Well, today they've released a new photo showing what she would look like today, and they're hoping someone knows where she is.
When Celina disappeared in 1996, there wasn't the social media that we had now. We can reach tens of thousands of people in just a couple hours.
The age-enhanced photo has just been released by the Willingboro Police Department on its Facebook page. Police say they'll continue updating her photo, hoping she'll be found. Detectives have traveled to Florida, Kentucky, Tennessee, and several other states trying to track down leads with no evidence of foul play and no word on her whereabouts.
I am hopeful that she's alive. Just weird because it's like, I know I have another sister, but I never really got to meet her.
Celina's family and the strict Mount Holly church they attended back then were less than cooperative with the investigation. There's always been speculation she was taken away by family friends or perhaps murdered to keep the identity of the baby's father secret. The Celina Mays case is cold. It's been more than 20 years, but they say they haven't given up.
We won't stop until we find her.
Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel.
Today I want to talk about Celina Mays. Celina has been missing for 25 years, exactly to this day, well, of when I'm filming. The authorities have recently come out and they're asking for information. Her family came out and asked for help as well. That's kind of why I wanted to make this video. Also, the case is insane. I can't believe I've never heard of it until now. Celina, when she went missing, she was 12 years old and 9 months pregnant. Okay? I know, it's bad. It's bad. So as you can imagine, Celina's life was pretty messed up. And at the time of her disappearance, she was living with 15 people in the house. And, you know, they were her family, but they were also, some people called them a cult. Other people called them a church family. And we're going to get into all of that. If she was alive today, she would be 37 years old. And her baby, if her baby was alive today, would be 25 years old. And the police have released age progression images of her and what she might look like today.
On the left, you can see what she looked like then. On the right is an age progression of what she might look like today.
They're basically hoping that with social media, this story can reach a wider group of people than when this case happened, which was in the 90s. Some people believe that Celina was met with foul play. Other people believe she ran away and she's like in hiding right now. Maybe she's alive and well and just hiding. So I want to do what I usually do on my channel, which is I want to give you guys the facts. We'll discuss the theories and then you can decide for yourself. But first, this video is sponsored by Sundance Now. Sundance Now is an ad-free, so you don't have to listen to me doing this over there, streaming service created by AMC Networks. There are already so many shows to binge, exclusive content. You're not going to find this anywhere else. So if you feel like you've seen everything on every platform, Sundance Now might be for you. The cost of membership can be as low as $4.99 a month. You can use your phone, whether it's Android or iOS. You can also use Amazon Fire TV, Roku. So I have another recommendation for you. This series is called The Pact. They already have 2 episodes and new episodes come out every week. Basically, there's this brewery and the boss is found dead. And then there's 4 employees that all of a sudden take a pact of silence and they have this weird secret. And then one of the people, the employees, Anna, her husband is a cop. He's wondering if his wife is involved in this conspiracy or what. Highly recommend. Start streaming your next obsession, and if you use my code Noor, N-O-O-R, you get your first month free. Thank you guys for sitting through that, and thank you to Sundance Now for sponsoring this video. Okay, so the whole thing started on December 15th, 1996, and it happened in New Jersey. So in doing research for this case, I noticed that there aren't a lot of videos and pictures to be found, and some of these people I couldn't even find a picture of. Maybe I'm not good at what I'm doing and you guys could find a picture. If you can, let me know. But I thought I found them, but then it was like somebody in Africa and like in Cameroon. But I did find tons of newspaper clippings. So according to Celina's family, the last day they saw her was December 15th. It was a Sunday. They went to church and they came back. When they came back as a family, all the people who lived in that house, they had ice cream. Keep in mind, she's 9 months pregnant. She has her bowl of ice cream. She's 12 years old. She puts her bowl in the sink and then she kisses everyone goodnight. And according to her father and her stepmother, she said something. She said, "Thank you for everything." And some people think this is a very important thing that she said, but she said, "Thank you for everything." And then she went upstairs and she went to bed. According to the family, the next morning, they sent her little sister, she was like 4 years old, they sent her upstairs to go wake up Celina to have breakfast.
Noor Mays was just a little girl when her sister Celina Mays vanished.
I went upstairs, actually pulled the covers back, and there was pillows there.
They believe that she ran away. The thing is, she left some very important items behind. Her purse, her prenatal vitamins, which she was very diligent about taking, and her portable CD player, like her Walkman, or is it a Walkman? Everyone says that she loved the Walkman. It was her prized possession, but yet she left it behind. It seems like Celina left with just the clothes on her back. I don't know if she just left in a hurry or she thought she was coming back or she didn't leave willingly. This was, of course, very concerning. Not only is the 12-year-old missing, but she's pregnant. Not only is she pregnant, but her due date is in 2 weeks. It's December 15. Her due date is December 29th. Plus, Christmas is coming soon. So the whole thing was really strange. And this is, in my opinion, horrific detail, but I'm going to tell you because it matters. But she was scheduled for a C-section. The OBGYN said that she actually had to have a C-section because she was 12. So her body was like too small to naturally give birth. The family says they last saw her 11 p.m. on the 15th when she said thanks for everything and went upstairs. Nobody calls 911. So a full day, nothing. The day after that, they call the police. Initially, police treat it as a runaway situation and not a missing persons case because the parents said, like she put the pillows there and she left. So they're like, okay, well, she ran away. She'll probably be back by Christmas. We're not really going to make a big deal out of this. But then Christmas comes around and Celina's still gone. It's now 4 days before her due date. And that's when police are like, okay, maybe she's missing. So they decide to go public. And once the news went public that this pregnant 12-year-old is missing and the whole situation, the family turned on each other. They were publicly blaming each other. You had the mother side of the family being like, how did she get pregnant with them? Who's the father? What's going on? You had the father side of the family, which are like, well, we had a custody battle with them. They probably kidnapped her. We think they're involved. They have the means to do it. They don't like us. They treat us bad. There's a quote from Celina's dad, and he says, Celina had planned this. She had a desire to leave. To understand how we get to this point, you need to understand Celina's childhood. As you can imagine, it was a very tumultuous childhood. And this poor little girl, she had it rough from the minute she was born. She was described as a frail infant. Celina was born on May 28th, 1984. Her mother was an exotic dancer and she was addicted to drugs. And her father was an aspiring musician and he was also addicted to drugs. Her mom's name is Lynn Vitali and her dad's name is Crazonzo Mays, but they call him CJ. So we're going to call him CJ Mays or CJ. The relationship between Lynn and CJ was very tumultuous. By 1990, CJ and Lynn have separated. They never got married and now they're separated. So Celina is 6 years old when her parents separate. Now, once the parents separated, they actually cleaned up and sobered up and went on to live functional lives. Celina's mom got a job as a custodian at the school in the area that they were living in. Celina's dad sobered up too. He says that religion is what helped him sober up, and not just any religion, but his sister's church. He ended up moving in with his sister and she was running this church, this congregation. CJ's sister, Sarita Smith. I'm going to be saying this name a lot. remember it. Reverend Sarita. She ruled with an iron fist. Although CJ credits his sister and his faith for helping him get sober, Lynn, Celina's mom, she felt like he was getting radicalized. So much so that she stopped letting Celina go over there because she just felt like it was too much. And keep in mind, Celina's mom, Lynn, she also had a religious awakening. When she was trying to get sober, she started going to church. She would go to church with Celina. So it's not like she was completely against that. It's just that she felt like what CJ was doing with his sister Sarita was a bit too much. So by all accounts, Celina and her mom were super close, but tragically in 1994, Celina's mom died from a brain aneurysm. Celina's mom had a pretty decent life insurance policy. It was $50,000 in the 90s. I'm not sure how much that would be worth today. Celina's mom's family felt like the only reason why the dad's side wanted Celina was to try to get some of that life insurance money. And so they were fighting about it and they didn't want her to go. But the judge ended up siding with CJ Mays, the father, and Celina went to live with her father in that house with 15 people, including his sister, Sarita Smith, the pastor, and she became immersed in this life. Quote, somewhere between a dozen and 15 people live in the house on Crestview Drive and in 2 apartments at the parish house next to the church on Washington Street in Mount Holly. The residents include May's wife, Yvette, his stepson, Enrique Tharps, 18, Smith and her husband, so that's Sarita, and the Smiths' 5 children, who include 2 teenage sons and a 23-year-old son, Sean, who has 3 children of his own, 1 by his wife, 2 by previous partners. All are members of the church in Mount Holly. The children are schooled there, and most of the adults, including Mays and his wife, Yvette, work there. When Celina's mom died, Celina was 10 years old. By the time she was 11, she got impregnated. They are against abortion. So when Celina was pregnant, they decided she's going to keep the baby. Basically, Celina was about to be a mother before she became a teenager. Let that sink in. When her due date came and went by the 29th, and there was no record of any kind of birth in the hospital of someone who matched her description, which is a very rare description. It's not every day you see a 12-year-old giving birth. Remember how I told you some people call this church a cult? Yeah, those people are the ex-members. Stop. Quote, they say Celina had no contact with the outside world. That sounds absolutely right to me, said Goldman, a former church member who left the congregation 5 years ago. They want to shut you off from outside communication. He said that he and his wife, who is also a former member, describe the church as a place where Smith, the pastor, rules with absolute control and where the congregation of about 20 to 30 functions as one family. According to Goldman, who at one time lived in Sarita Smith's house, the pastor determines every detail of her congregants' lives, from whom they should marry to what bills they should pay. Nothing is operated in their household without her consent. She has a controlling spirit that's unreal. The littlest thing you can think of, she controls. So Goldman and someone else, another former member, a year before Celina vanished, they went back to the house after leaving the church to try to get the other family members of theirs that were still there. And Sarita called the police for trespassing. Quote, it was a happy-go-lucky place until you were disobedient. As long as you were doing what she wanted you to do, it was fine. That's how they trap you. And then the neighbors started speaking out. They were belligerent. They got really loud, said former resident Dan Aubrey, who filed one of the complaints. They would not listen to any request to quiet down. It was primal screaming, pure guttural. He said Sarita Smith responded over an amplified microphone, quote, Mount Holly, this is war. I'll fight you all. Glenda Aubrey of Willingboro recalled the day she first met Pastor Smith. She had just left the courthouse in Mount Holly when Smith approached her and her sister-in-law Dorothy Aubrey, who had just lost custody of her 2 children. She befriended her and asked her to come live with her, Aubrey said. Her sister did, but eventually became disillusioned with the way the church raised and spent money and the control the pastor tried to exercise over everyone, including her own children who came to visit. Like other members, Aubrey was frequently dispatched to sell pretzels outside supermarkets and other stores, but she did not see the proceeds of those sales reflected in the spare lifestyle she was afforded. She, Smith, starts out helping people, Glenda Aubrey said, but they end up working for her. The records show church members live in crowded conditions and support the church by selling pretzels and Mary Kay cosmetics. And they also just solicit donations at the mall. So I did some digging about their financial records. Sarita was declaring that their annual income, revenue, whatever you want to call it, was around $200,000, tax-free. CJ and Sarita really want you to believe that Celina ran away. And CJ, her father, claims that he thinks she ran away because he had threatened her with a paternity test to find out who the father was because she wasn't telling him. He said, quote, "I think she was running scared." So that leads me to the elephant in the room, which is who is the father? So the OBGYN, she says that Celina's dad asked her to figure out who the father was because Celina wasn't telling him. And when she asked Celina, Celina said it was a 16-year-old boy from another church. A lot of people didn't believe it. They felt like maybe the father was the father. Nasty. Gross. Barf. Quote, Crescenzo C.J. Mays, Celina's father, upset by swirling rumors, told police that he had had a vasectomy 2 years ago. Last night, police were waiting for Mays to bring in his medical records. But there was one article that said the doctor confirmed that he had a vasectomy. Celina's half-brother, Bob Benaglio of whatever, somewhere in Michigan, said he spoke to the girl briefly before she disappeared. He said she couldn't speak to him because her father was in the background telling her to get off the phone. Benaglio said he told Celina to give him a sign she was unhappy living with her father by pushing a button on the telephone. He said his heart broke when he heard a beep. If it isn't the father, who is it? Well, Celina herself, according to the OBGYN, said it was a 16-year-old boy who was from another church. When would she have had a chance to get with this 16-year-old boy from another church and get pregnant and all that? Well, her father's like, well, she has freedoms. I don't know what you guys are talking about. She goes bowling. She goes roller skating. He said, quote, "We're not the closed group that we've been portrayed. We have liberty just like anyone else." So that's where people believe that maybe she met this guy bowling and somehow snuck off, had some opportunity for them to get pregnant. Probably didn't take that long. And that's all it took. And that's how it happened. Then there were the other rumors. The rumors about Celina's cousin, Sean Smith. He was 21 at the time of her disappearance. Can you guess who Sean's mother is? Did you guess Sarita Smith, the pastor, Reverend Sarita? Did you guess her? Because if you did, you'd be right. Yes, that was her son who lived in the house that they all lived in together. And the streets were talking and they were saying that Sean Smith was the daddy. The rumors got worse when the local newspaper published an article, quote, "The pastor of the Gospel of Christ Ministries said Sunday that her niece, Celina Mays, deceived her family about her pregnancy, never revealed the father's identity, and tricked the family again by disappearing in the middle of the night. Quote, she lied all along, the Reverend Sarita Smith said from the pulpit during worship services here. On Sunday, Smith emphatically denied that she knows the identity of the baby's father or had anything to do with the girl's flight. I can't watch anyone 24/7, she said. " Only God can do that, and I'm not going to play God. She said that Celina made a choice to flee, just as she made a choice to have the sexual intercourse that led to her becoming pregnant. Had she been forced into it, the pastor suggested Celina would not have hidden her pregnancy for 4 months as she did. Quote, "The Bible says you cry out R word. The Bible says you cry out molestation," Smith said. Smith contended that it is not extraordinary that Celina did not reveal who impregnated her, noting that, quote, "every woman does not reveal the father," end quote. And the pastor made clear she considered Celina as much a woman as a child. Quote, "12 years old is but a number," Smith said. "Some 12-year-olds make you think that they're 18 years old." Wow. During the service, Smith said, "I have no fear of what God has chosen. I don't fear where Celina is. I'm not asking the Lord to quickly do anything." Damn, so she's like, "I'm a pastor, but I'm not even going to pray for her." Smith said that she had an inkling that all was not right 2 days before Celina disappeared. "I knew she was up to something. I warned her that you lied all through this pregnancy. This is an evil and perverse generation," Smith said. February 15th, 1997, 2 months after Celina went missing. And everyone basically is saying that she's fine. "I definitely believe she's alive and being kept somewhere," said John Sweeney, the Willingboro detective. Her dad said the same thing. "I think she's fine," said CJ Mays. "She's strong and independent-minded. I just wish she'd give us a call. That's the gut-wrenching part. I want my daughter to be happy. I would love for her to want to come back and be a family. But if Celina is big and grown, I'm behind her in whatever decision she makes." Even the mother's side of the family said she was fine. "I know she's okay," said Cindy Cram, Celina's aunt on her mother's side. All this optimism stems from a belief that the 12-year-old did not walk away on her own. And then on top of that was the fact that police said they didn't really find evidence of foul play, but you need to understand that they weren't even allowed to search Celina's home. So even if they haven't found evidence of foul play, that doesn't mean that evidence doesn't exist. And if you're wondering why they couldn't search the home, I'm going to tell you why. I got really excited there. When police asked to inspect Celina's home on Crestview Drive, family members refused. Police sought a search warrant, which was also denied. The family must be presumed to be a victim in this case, the judge ruled. Mays says his sister, Smith, decided how much of the house police could search. But he said that he was not pleased with the, quote, attitude that the officers displayed. "You had to be there to understand," he said. His sister was taking control, and it's not her daughter. So I don't know. That's kind of, if it was my kid, I'd be like, move away, search whatever you got to search. While pursuing various leads, the police quickly grew frustrated with the family. It took officers close to a month to obtain interviews with all of the approximately 35 children and adults who live at Celina's house or worship at her church. "Normally, families are breaking our door down to find out what's new in the investigation," one Willingboro officer grumbled. "This family, we have to ask to come in." Police have managed to interview most of the members at least once, Lieutenant Donna Dimitri noted, but requests for follow-up interviews have sometimes gone unanswered. And the insurance policy, the one I told you about, the $50,000 one. Well, according to Celina's uncle from her mother's side, Levitt has been trying for 2 years to keep Mays from receiving the proceeds from his late sister's life insurance policy. "We want to see it go into a trust for Celina until she's 19, he said. And he asked a lawyer in New Jersey to move to get custody of the girl when she is found. As if it couldn't get worse. On January 31st, 1998, a bombshell. There was an arrest of a church member. Quote, "Police arrested the son of the pastor of the Gospel of Christ Ministries Thursday and charged him with SAing 2 minor girls who were members of the church. Sean Smith, 23, remember him? The one that all the rumors were about? Well, he was charged Thursday with having sexual intercourse on numerous occasions with two girls, one of whom was 14 and the other 13. When all this began, police declined to comment on the connection between him and this arrest and Celina's disappearance. According to the complaint, Smith had sex with the first victim from 1992 to 1994 and with the second victim from 1993 to 1995. And Celina was 9 months pregnant in 1996. Wow. Wow. Several members of Smith's family, in addition to his wife, were in court for his bail hearing, including C.J. Mays, Celina's father. All declined to comment to reporters. Smith has denied any knowledge or connection with Celina's disappearance. He pleaded innocent to the charges filed against him. He was released on $50,000 bail shortly after his initial appearance before the judge, blah, blah, blah. Those are the facts. Now let's discuss the theories. So basically, my dog. So there are two main theories. There's foul play or runaway. So let's begin with the runaway theory. The things that are leading to the runaway theory are the fact that she put pillows. If we're to believe that official story, then she put pillows under the blanket to make it look like she was there because she was planning to run away. If she had a boyfriend that she was in love with, maybe she wanted to go with him, especially when her aunt spoke out and said 2 days before she disappeared, she told her, you lied to us and you deceiver and all this. Maybe she felt like, I don't want to be here anymore. This is horrible. And she left. But then it's kind of like, well, why didn't she take her Walkman CD player, her purse, her prenatals? Was she trying to get rid of the baby? Why at the 9th month? 2 weeks before her due date. I mean, it's maybe, but I don't know. If she did run away, her OBGYN said that she would need a C-section. So either she flew under the radar and went to the hospital, or she didn't go to the hospital. Could she have gone to a hospital really far away? And so that's why we don't know about it. And then there's police saying that there's no evidence of foul play. Quote, there's no evidence of foul play, McCann said, but it's not something we can rule out, particularly because it's been so long. So let's talk about the foul play theory. First, again, it's the same thing where it's like, why would she run and leave her things behind unless she was maybe lured away and she thought she would be coming right back? Like maybe somebody from the house was like, let's go do something. I don't know, something. And then she thought she was coming right back, but then something happened to her and she never came back. And then that person staged those pillows or something. I don't know. Remember, CJ, her father, said that he had threatened her with a paternity test to find out who the father is. What if it was Sean and he was in the house and he heard her father being like, I'm getting a paternity test, that's it, and freaked out and was like, we can't let this come out that, I was basically sleeping with his daughter. So if we're operating on the Sean theory, which is the most popular theories, the next thing that comes up is, well, did his mother help him in any way? I mean, when she did her interview, she seemed like she was blaming the victim. Then there's another theory, which is kind of like an accident theory. And this theory is like, what if Celina either had an unofficial abortion or birth and it went horribly awry and she died, the baby died, one or the other, both, and that whoever was around and involved covered it up after the fact, even though they didn't do anything intentionally. But then once the accident happened, they were like, oh no, we're going to get in trouble. We need to hide this. That's also a theory. It's a lot. And, this is just the craziest thing ever. I can't believe that I'd never heard of this case. If anyone has any information or thinks they have something, please call. I'll put the information down here. It's the Willingboro Police Department at 609-877-2200. I hope that she's somewhere off grid, living off the land, eating organic food, living her best life. I don't believe that's the case. I think she's dead. I think somebody killed her and the baby. Honestly, if you want to know what I think, I'm going to tell you what I think. I think Sean did it, and I think his mother, Celina, helped him, not maybe with the thing, but maybe after the fact or something. And I think her dad is brainwashed to the point where maybe he refuses to see it, or maybe he's involved too. I don't know. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to Sundance Now for sponsoring this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.